Okay, I just randomly got trapped in an elevator for no reason. That's something that just happens randomly. Although, then again, elevators do tend to be the bane of my existence. Hey guys, Cyclonic Flame here, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide. Now, I've seen a little bit of the Stanley Parable, and apparently the narrator is back in this game. So, I'm actually a little bit curious to see where this is going to take me. Also, I had a little bit of trouble getting this game to run. Please make sure audio was on. Yep. Definitely on. Controls, WASD, and the mouse, of course. I mean, some games use really weird control schemes.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Oh, this should be interesting.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way.
I've seen this before.
Mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
That's cool.
But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level.
Yep.
And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person.
Definitely floating.
And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this?
I want to know
this
that,
is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator.
Really?
I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is.
Fair enough.
And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Okay, so we're going through a creator's backstory.
Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever.
I've seen this.
And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped.
What?
In 2011,
Why?
That was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again.
Fair enough.
And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
Let's take a look.
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
All right. Okay, so this is a compilation of games, apparently. And the guy who made Stanley Parable... What the heck? Okay, didn't expect to be dropped into this.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Alright. This seems like one of those things, like the final level of Halo 1, where you have to escape the, like, destroyed ship. This seems a lot like that.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Alright. Yeah, this definitely seems like a level out of Halo or something like that.
It kind of looks like this game was abandoned mid-development.
Yeah,
for instance,
a little.
You have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
Huh.
But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is.
Maybe.
And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Fair enough.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Oh, okay, I can get out this way. I didn't notice that before. This is actually really cool.
See the bottom of the universe from this room.
Okay, that's kind of funny. Maybe you should work on the skybox a little bit, but this is one of his earlier games. I'm not gonna bash him over for that. Oh, great,
Apparently
a maze.
The space station has a labyrinth on it.
Yeah, apparently.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Really? Alright. That wasn't necessary.
This is the part that's interesting.
Right.
The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all.
Alright.
That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam.
Okay, that makes no
It's
sense.
so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Oh, I can't go back.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. Okay. And this is what happens instead.
Oh. So it just resets me here. Oh. It just floats me up into space. Oh, I can see the entirety of the labyrinth.
The beam causes you to start floating.
This is cool.
And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions.
But what made him
Let's
stop?
go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Because this is actually really cool. So why did he stop making games? The past was behind her. Alright, I can't move, I can...
Yep. In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Oh. Okay, that's a thing. So I literally have to walk backwards. This is an interesting concept. Definitely...
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
That is interesting. I think he's done quite well on this, to be fair. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends.
It
You
does.
don't need anything more than that.
No, it
Which
didn't.
to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Right, next one. Okay, this looks like something from a horror game. This definitely looks like something you are now entering. Entering what?
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please
Right.
be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay, I'll be patient. Games are pretty interesting so far. They're all thought-provoking.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Alright. Okay, it's,
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once
So
he stopped
this is
work on a
Stairway?
game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't
It's a
agree
bit
with that at
bizarre.
all, but what are you gonna do?
I mean, he is the developer. Wait, I'm going slower up the stairs?
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why,
Right.
if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all?
That is
Well,
a good
to
point.
show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Alright. But why do that? What's this? What the heck?
A room that's warm and
Huh.
nice and filled with little ideas for games.
That's cool.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Plays the camera filming an advertisement, walking around the step on the set filming whatever you like. Press U to surrender. A button to stop. Okay, I didn't get to read all that, but I saw some rather interesting stuff. Ready, set, fish. This doesn't look like a fishing game. Are all these titles misleading or joking? Is it just me? I would like an explanation, please.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle.
Alright.
Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Okay, so there's just blackness both ways. And I can't move. Oh, wait a minute, do I have to... Oh! Clever!
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
I
We're gonna
won't.
see it a lot.
Oh, okay. Is this one of those really common puzzles for him? Interesting. I like seeing a whole bunch of small games at once. It
So that
really
seems
does,
to be it, right?
you know.
You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Whoa. What? This seems almost
How about that?
Portal-esque in nature.
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing.
Way more.
I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So,
Yeah.
in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world.
That is
Either
cool.
way, I think that the point is the same. Is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing.
Yeah,
or even
exactly.
that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is
Jeez.
not to understand, then what is it?
Good question. This is... Seeing something like that is actually really cool. Oh, we're back here again. Am I going to be able to remove... You are now exiting.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow.
Apparently.
It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a
Alright.
bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I am curious. Because I've seen some rather interesting games so far. All like the level designs and whatnot. The Great and Lovely Descent. Oh, please for love of God, don't tell me. Okay. I was about to say, please don't tell me Amnesia's come back, but apparently not. This is...
Let's talk about
House?
video game development for a second.
Yeah, let's.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do.
Yep.
So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all
I've heard of
engines,
that one.
Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly.
Little parkour.
One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors.
I've noticed.
That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Well, at least there's no fall damage in this.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Ah, thank God I'm not falling off the world. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of them are just corridors and boxes, which, to be fair, from what he's saying, sounds like something that would fit perfectly with the Source engine. I have fiddled around with the Source engine before, but I didn't realize that that was what it did. There's a... What is that? Is that a circular thing? That is a circular thing. That is not a linear box. That is a circular thing. Wow, this is actually really nicely designed. Just looking at the architecture of this is really nice. What's that noise? Like, I don't generally, like, stop to think about how a game is made, really. Oh. Okay, I just randomly got trapped in an elevator for no reason. That's something that just happens randomly. Although, then again, elevators do tend to be the bane of my existence. Oh, okay, go through here.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Fair enough. Okay, so where's this
gonna
take me?
Used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else.
To be fair, he's not
I played
wrong.
every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Oh, of course. I'm kind of expecting that there wasn't, actually. But it's interesting how he's designed these.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Are you sure about that? Is that the exact same? Okay, yes it is.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I mean, maybe it's something that when a door closes, maybe there's a way to open another door to take the path ahead. I mean in life in general, not just a game. What's this? You there. Did you come from up above? What was there?
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Okay, here we go. That's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That's literally the last thing I did before coming here. Again, perfect. Now tell us. Now please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. I don't remember how I solved it. I'm trying to remember, but I can't. I didn't solve it. Someone else let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but I do. We do. We need to get there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there is nothing I want more. Alright. So I pretty much just denied these guys their freedom by accident. Oh wait, here they are again. Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? No, we actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Actually, now you mention it, I remember feeling strange as I passed through it. Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again soon. Yeah, he did say that there was multiple of the same room, like the same puzzle of those doors. So let's see what's down here. Just a spiraling staircase going down.
One last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Alright. So what's on the final floor? It's a long, narrow corridor. Is that a house? Oh. This wasn't what I expected.
It's a lamppost.
Huh.
Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost.
Really?
It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out.
Alright.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long.
That seems
now
to be
he wants
reasonable.
something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something.
And the
He wants
lamppost
a
is
destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination.
Okay.
We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them.
I'm looking
And as we
forward
go,
to it.
that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
I am definitely looking forward to it. But anyways, guys, that's where I'm going to have to leave off this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, set like and subscribe down below. Recommend more games to me, and I will see you all in the next video.